it's hard to get into the bubble here, but once you're in it, it's very hard to leave.
The Fogues Piarsaigh, you're all very welcome to another episode of Irish in Toronto. Today I'll be chatting with Jack Fogarty. I came to know Jack when he began hurling with my club here in Toronto in the Piarsaigh. Jack is a laid-back character who has become a feature of the Irish community here in Toronto. Jack regularly performs in Irish bars around the city, and for St. Patrick's Day in 2025, Jack managed to organise his band, the Fogues, who were still based in Ireland, to come to Toronto where they played a few gigs to much success. Jack's relaxed outlook on life is one I hope to take with me going forward, and I hope you do too. I really hope you enjoyed this chat with Cork native Jack Fogarty. I would still encourage people to download the episodes and to share them with friends and family. Downloads are the easiest indicator for me to gauge how many people I'm reaching with these conversations, so I would really appreciate it. I started our chat by asking Jack about when he came to Toronto.
I kind of always wanted to go travelling, to be honest. I suppose, there's people in my family who've always kind of travelled, like been away, like worked away from abroad. And then when I was like in leaving cert, my brother moved to New Zealand for 3 years. And we actually went over to visit him one time, and like he was loving it over there. He stayed for nearly 4 years, I'd say, before he came back home. And then my sister went to Australia for 2 or 3 years as well. So didn't go over to visit her now, but she had a great time as well. And then I was kind of in the middle of college. I was like, it was definitely something I wanted to do. And kind of came towards finished college in 2023 and had like graduated in May and said following January I was going to move. So I then worked for my uncle for a year on his farm, working away, saving money, and then kind of actually I was supposed to go in January and then kind of visas and kind of held up a small bit. So I came in April and yeah, haven't really looked back since, to be honest.
So you're not even here a year yet?
I'm here a year next Thursday, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
Celebrating it?
I don't know, I might have a drink maybe.
This podcast episode is celebrating. So I'm always curious when I meet people who come now, who are like just out of college, because I didn't come straight out of college, but I have a different kind of but I did go to America straight out of college, so I kind of understand it a little bit. But I didn't have any family members. I kind of wanted to go for an experience. So a lot of your age group are going. Did that have any impact on you at all? Going to Australia, going to Vancouver, going to Toronto, wherever they're going?
No, not really. I always wanted to do it myself anyway. Whether there was people going or not, I kind of just said, I'm going anyway. Funny enough, I'd have no interest in going to Australia. I don't know, it's just, I don't think the lifestyle is, like, it's just not me. I always loved the North American lifestyle. I don't know what it is about it. Always wanted to actually move to America, but then kind of quickly realised getting visas, it's so hard. And then kind of floated the idea of moving to Vancouver. But anyway, eventually, for whatever reason, came to Toronto. No real reason. People just ask me like,
that's what I'm going to ask. What is the reason?
Yeah, there was no real reason. Just, I didn't know people in either place, so it didn't really make a difference that way. And I'm not sure, I think just Toronto, I came over with 2 lads and one of them was just like, oh, what about Toronto? And I had no ties to either place, so I was like, yeah. Let's go for it.
We have a mutual friend, Dara Fitz, who, like, he said he was moving to Canada, and then people started asking him where you were going, and he just said Toronto, and then that was it. But he hadn't decided, but he realised when he started telling people, I guess that's
that was kind of it, yeah. Like, there was no real reason behind it, just when it wasn't America, it was Canada, which was the next best thing. And it was either Toronto or Vancouver, and maybe just a bit closer to home as well. Probably a bit easier to get home, maybe.
Yeah.
In the back of your mind was probably maybe something.
I didn't think about that at all, really. Like, now I'm going home next week, and when I leave my apartment, I'll be home like in my home house in Clare, like 13 hours later or 14 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
And like Vancouver, you're adding on an extra 5-hour flight, and other kind of things. Hours or so. Yeah, so it is nice in fairness compared to your siblings. Did they come home much when they were in Australia and New Zealand?
No, they didn't come home at all actually until they moved home. So they were like. Yeah, my brother never came home for 3 years. He's actually in Vancouver now.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, he moved in January. He's only gone for 6 months with his girlfriend. So yeah, it was kind of just, I don't know, we've always kind of travelled, so I had that bug, I suppose.
Yeah.
I wanted to go.
Moving to Toronto in April can be challenging because the weather's probably one of the only months where the weather is, well, not one of the only months, but where the weather is definitely worse here than it is in Ireland. I'd say the weather's getting nice in Ireland in April. What was it like moving here initially? What were your thoughts on it?
Well, actually, it was like, when I think back now, it was definitely I think it's the best time to come, like March, April, May, because when I came, there was a snowstorm the first day, like freeze, and I was like, what am I doing here, like, you know? But then after like a few weeks, it just starts to get better and better, and then like it's a great time because GA starts kind of training. You're starting to meet lads, because I know, chatting to Owen Quigley, he said he moved here in January, like, and there's not much happening for it, like. Yeah. You're trying to meet people, especially but like January, no one's going out, and
just have all the months.
Yeah. So I think if anyone is moving to Canada, definitely like late spring or start of spring, definitely March, April, May.
Yeah, it's good time to get that change. And we spent a few summers in Chicago, but like you'd go and it would already be summer. There's an ice coming when the weather is. You got the snowstorm, but then within
a few weeks,
it was summer probably.
Yeah. So, but then fast forward to the winter and. It wasn't too bad actually. I don't think it was. Maybe it was because I had it so built up in my head that I was like, you know.
The winter we just had, like it was.
It was bad in January for like there was 3 or 4 weeks there in January. It was like -17, and like that was bitter. Yeah. But I don't think it got cold until like January. No,
December's not bad. Yeah. Especially when I'm used to that now. That it's not that cold in December. You think it is because Ireland's in the middle of its winter, but it's actually not that bad. But then it's still cold in March, like so. That's kind of the trade-off. The lifestyle in Australia, you said you didn't like, or like you wouldn't like. What do you like about the lifestyle here in Toronto?
It's a bit more outdoorsy. Like this, like 6 a.m. sunrise walks and stuff in Australia now would not be my cup of tea. I'd say you might be a fan of it.
Yeah, maybe. It's funny. I only get into that stuff when I got here. Like.
Yeah.
But it depends. Like
Yeah, but just in general, like. Going like I joined ice hockey like with yourself. That was brilliant crack. Like really enjoyed it. It was definitely one thing I said that like when I was coming over that I just try stuff I hadn't done before because you might never get a chance again. But like ice hockey, skiing as well, and like
how do you find the two of them?
Well, the ice hockey definitely as the weeks went on I found myself getting better. Like genuinely. Skiing is a bit tougher because you're only going for like maybe one weekend and you mightn't go skiing again for another 3 months or a year maybe, whatever. But I was enjoyable, like it's good crack, it's kind of social. But yeah, Australia, I don't know, I think like a lot of Irish going over there, like it's a lot of drinking, which is fair enough, but just that's not for me really. As I love drinking as well, but
I was only talking about this yesterday. I told someone I was interviewing you and we were chatting, like we weren't analysing your answer. We were saying for a fella who like would just through we're going to talk about the stuff you do and that you are in pubs a lot. I've never seen you drunk, and I see you more in a pub than I see you anywhere else. Maybe apart from a hurling pitch or a nice drink, but I've never seen you drunk or anything like so. You do like socialising, but do you find the credit crew going to Australia it's just a bit more madness or something, looseness or something like that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I have a few friends over there, and they seem like they're all drinking every night of the week, and I couldn't think of anything worse, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I love. By the way, I love drinking on like a Saturday night or whatever, but like one night a week, and that's kind of vibe enough then after that. But no, I don't. I don't drink that much, to be honest. Yeah. I drink when I'm out, but other than that, I don't really drink when I'm playing. Not that I don't want to drink, but you wouldn't get a chance to drink anyway, really.
Yeah, I've always thought. Yeah, I suppose you guys because you can fall into two ways. You can be very serious about and focus on the music and not drink, or as you said, you don't have time.
Yes,
but there are people who have found loads of time to drink when playing has nearly added to their. So maybe that's I don't know. I was curious, like some people who leave, they leave Ireland, they leave stuff behind them, and usually it's family, friends, whatever. You left the band behind you. What was that like? Was that a tough decision to make? Yeah, definitely.
Because so we actually started. It was actually 8 years ago this year. So I was in 5th year. Ted would have been in 1st year in college, and Michal and William would have been in their 2nd year in college. So I kind of started doing like just pub gigs around Mitchelstown and different things. But as the years, especially after COVID, like it started to get bigger and better and like different things. So now they're playing all over Ireland, to be honest. So yeah, definitely kind of like you're missing out a small bit, but like when you want to do something, you just have to. You have to. There's going to be sacrifices that you have to make when you're moving abroad.
Yeah, I know I equate it to like leaving a team that maybe are kind of on the cusp of doing something, and then you leave and they start winning championships, and you're just watching them win the championships.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like not jealous, but like, well, I suppose how do you feel about like? Do you think you'll be going back and playing with them in a couple of years, or do you think you'll still be here? Have you thought that far ahead?
Definitely the plan would be to go back playing with them. Yeah, no, like definitely wouldn't be jealous. Like you'd hope that they do the best. Like I hope they'd be going on to do good things. But obviously there are times when the electric picnic comes around or something like that. You'd be like, oh, I wish I was home.
Have they played at that or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we played it.
Did you play it?
Yeah, in 2020, 2 years ago, so 2023.
Yeah.
And then they played it again last year.
Yeah.
So, but it was bigger than the year before even. So, but no, but sure, then again, like probably Canada, the trip they had probably wouldn't have happened if I went there, which was a brilliant trip as well.
Do you want to explain the trip? Because there'll be people listening who don't. It's hard to put it. It was like I don't know. It's like being like our hurling team turned into groupies for a week or so. Which some of the lads were saying they were delighted to see the back of me. But do you want to explain what the trip?
Poor Sean had a hole in his bank account after buying as many T-shirts and hats, Fogues caps. So about last July, I had it in my head that I'd get the lads over for a trip or whatever, and I was in PJ O'Brien's one night and I met Sean Ruddy. I know Sean was on your podcast a few months back. And we were just chatting away, and he was telling me he's chair of the Irish or Parade Society or whatever. And that was grand. A few weeks later, I was just still thinking about it. It kind of just dawned on me. I was like, why don't I try and tie it in with St. Patrick's weekend? And so I text Sean. We met up in PJ's, and that was kind of the start of it, like last July. So there's a long kind of process there.
Yeah.
But eventually, so we kind of ironed out the Grand Marshal Ball in the Pearl Street, and then the following weekend was, he put us in touch with a great fella who organises events here, Brendan Fife. He runs the Rivoli there, the music gentleman, and he had Hermitage Green coming over, so he asked would we support him. So I said, of course, don't need to ask twice. And then Sean organised another gig on the Saturday. It was actually for college students in Grand Bazaar.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was like, it was kind of crazy. There was 1,400 people there, but it was wild. And then we finished off in PJ O'Brien's on, we said, a Saturday night.
What time was the event on the Saturday for the college students?
3:30, I think.
So different type of audience, I'd assume.
Oh, very different. Yeah.
I was walking around Toronto on that Saturday, the day before, 2 days before St. Patrick's Day, and the weather was a little bit nice, and like it was all college students wearing green out and about. How did they take to the music? Out of curiosity.
They enjoyed it, but they didn't know it. If you know what I mean, like they enjoyed the diddly idle stuff, but I said I didn't know one song from the other. But I know they enjoyed it, and like it was a brilliant day. The DJs kind of all day. There was another band there as well. The O'Deadleys were there. So that was a great day. Like
when you get a crowd, like I assume a lot of the crowd. Anytime I've seen you play, everyone knows the songs, knows the lyrics for the most part, obviously. But you still interact with the crowd. With that crowd, were you able to interact with them? Did you have to interact with them in order to maybe explain a song, or was that a waste of time? Maybe, or because it's similar to my job. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Felt like a waste of time at times. Yeah. Well, Mihal does Mihal does Irish dancing, so that was a great kind of. They loved that. So, but kind of. They knew some songs, the Wild Rover, and the ones that everyone kind of knows.
You were authentic to them, like.
Yeah.
That was the most important.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you find playing gigs? When you said you were going to be here a year in April, I'm like, geez, in my head I had it that it might be close to 2 years, but because you're so prominent, like your name is constantly, there's an event on this Saturday, Jack's playing, and it's how did that start immediately? Did you intend on that happening when you moved here, I suppose?
Well, I was always going to plan on like doing a few gigs. So when I came first, it was kind of at the back of my mind, to be honest, or not at the back of my mind, but it was pushed to the back of my mind because you're trying to start a job, you're trying to start accommodation, there's a lot more important things. And then eventually I reached out to Graham in the Wolf Town, and I just texted him. I was like, look, any chance you play a bit of music there? some night. He's like, yeah, no problem, come down. It was a Sunday. And I went down a few Sundays later anyway. It was after Montreal trip. And I went down and we actually had a great day. It was brilliant. A lot of the Piarsaigh lads came, a lot of Durham lads came. And it was actually a really good day. And then he nearly booked me up for the summer then after that.
That's successful.
Off the back of that, yeah. So that was the start of it. And then kind of just, I suppose, like Toronto GEA have got me for a good few things and just different things. Went down to Niagara to play for an Irish festival down there. But yeah, like just I enjoy it. So it's like,
do you find this in any way stressful at all? Because you never come across like you're stressed ever about anything.
Definitely. Even like just stuff like bringing your own gear, like as in when you're with the lads, at least there's 4 of you that can, if something goes wrong. But when I'm on my own, like if something doesn't work or it's like they're all looking at you and you're like, shit, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I wouldn't be the best with like sound and stuff like that anyway. So, but like other than that, not really. Like, sure, you can only play the songs you know one of us. So.
Do you, I'm always curious to this. Do you have, before the gig starts, do you know the exact order of the songs you're going to sing?
No.
At all?
No. I just goes.
You don't even know the first song?
I might know the first song, alright. Maybe Dirty Old Town or something.
And then, it's just interesting because you go to get, like I lived in St. John's for a year, Newfoundland, and used to go down and watch lads play music, and I was always curious to see where they took it, and you couldn't, especially there because it was very touristy. In the summertime, it looked to me like if they had a set plan, it was waste time because 20 people could come in all of a sudden and the place, it's a different atmosphere to how it was. Your people were coming and going.
Yeah.
Whereas yours are they're almost more like gigs or concerts almost, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Actually, I'd love to go to St. John's maybe later this year.
You could make a living in St. John's, genuinely. Like as in,
yeah. I don't know if you ever came across Grove McCarthy. He goes over there a lot. He's from Limerick. St. John's is. But that was, I suppose, St. John's was like the first stop for Irish people when they were coming to Canada, was it?
Yeah, well, basically, yes. Geographically, the closest if you're going by boat.
I just. It depends on the crowd. I remember one night in St. Wolftown we had it was kind of an OAP party.
Yeah.
So you're trying to dig deep to kind of pull out the songs from like the 60s, 70s, and then obviously a night like County Colours, for example, is obviously a lot younger, more modern songs.
Yeah,
which is fine too.
Yeah, I know what you make. So is there anything in particular you prefer? Like, do you know, like aesthetically looking? If I'm looking at Instagram and there's a video and everyone is hopping and they're singing with you, but you can barely hear you. Do you like that when that happens? When say a whole pub is absolutely lifting, you've got them all, everyone is in the same vibe at the same time, and whatever song is singing that you're singing, and they're all singing it. Do you like that, or do you like the idea of kind of, or both, like the idea of kind of getting a crowd going, like the OAP party or whatever it might be?
Both. I like. There's nothing better than when the crowd is hopping in front of you and it's just. There's great energy, great crack, but at the same time, I love we used to do a few sit down concerts as well, and so it'd be dead silence and you're just singing, and that's lovely as well because
Christy more vibes.
We wouldn't tell them to shut up though. We wouldn't be that brave.
Yeah.
But so that's just as good as well because I just love singing. To be honest, I'd sing if I just had a guitar, I'd sing away in the room to myself. It'd be like poking a ball off the wall.
Totally get it. Yeah.
Just sing away to yourself.
And when did you realise you were a good singer?
I don't think I am a good singer.
When did someone tell you should do this in front of people?
No one did. If anyone wants to tell me. No, I think. So I suppose I come from a musical family first and foremost. My mother's side of the family would be very musical. Her grandfather would have been kind of wrote a few songs when this is late 1800s, I'm going to say, kind of about Mitchellstown and stuff like that. And then I suppose my grandfather was kind of the start of it really. He was an All-Ireland champion, a uilleann piper. I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think did much singing, but mainly traditional music. And then that was passed down to, we said, my mother, her siblings. And then, I suppose when we were growing up, like any christening, communion, birthday party, there was always like a bit of a sing-song. Everyone got their chance to do a little party piece. And that was kind of the start of it. And then, as I said, 8 years ago, we just, I'm not sure how it actually started, but I think Michal kind of just said, oh, look, we should do a gig sometime. And that was the start of it, basically. Yeah. So there was no real, like, no one ever told me I'm a good singer, but...
Michal told you.
I don't know that he told me either, to be honest. I took it upon myself.
What was the very first... I watched the Kneecap movie last week, and their first gig, like, they obviously exaggerated in the movie, like, but the first gig is in a pub, and there's just the bartender who's in his 70s, and then two other people in their 70s as well. But they give it full, they go fully at it. Like, what was the very first gig like?
The local bar in Glanmort.
Yeah.
Brenda Healy. Closed down since, but... Sad story.
It's a museum now for Fogues.
But I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was like, I suppose probably 20 or 30 people there max, I would say.
Family members and friends. And
Mainly. But it was just a bit of crack. But at the time, that was great.
Yeah, no, it's just like it's easy. Like, to me, it looks. It's a very vulnerable thing, like, to put yourself like that. Even doing a podcast, obviously, and you'd no bother doing it, but like to put yourself in a live audience where something could go wrong, or people are judging you, or maybe worse, not judging you, not caring. Like, you're almost a nuisance to them. Like, you're like, they just happen to be in the pub while you're playing. Like, and it's a very vulnerable thing to do. So it's especially the very first one. I don't know, but as I said, you seem very laid back, so you don't seem like that bothers you too much.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I in the good way, I don't really care. Like, I want people, like, if they don't like it, they don't like it, and that's that. Like, they don't have to listen, I suppose. But that's what I suppose. Like, you try and do music for everyone, like, especially in a pub, because, like, they haven't come to watch you specifically. Well, some people do. Like, some people will go and like, whatever, past playing tonight, I'll go and whatever, support them. But like, there's obviously going to be people there who are just there for a few drinks, and like, so you try and do a mix of songs just to keep everyone happy, but you can't keep everyone happy.
You can't read their minds either. Like,
No.
That's interesting. How have you found, let's say, Canada or Toronto, I suppose, specifically as a place to be Irish in general? The podcast is called Irish in Toronto. How have you found an experience being an Irish person in the city?
I've loved it. Yeah. I suppose, like, you can't really, like, the GA is huge. Like, it's the first port of call anyone goes to make friends, find places, find friends, find a job. Like it's actually unquestionable, like, the importance that the GA.
Did you get your job through the GA?
Yeah. So my cousin Shane Harnedy lived here he might have been before your time, actually.
He was, yeah.
He lived here for a good few years, 7 or 8 years, and he texts me, or I text him just being like, look, I'm moving over or whatever in a few weeks. Do you know of anyone? And he sent me 2 numbers. One was Tig. He said, keep in with Tig, he'll look after you.
Yeah.
He'll look after you, and he hasn't put me wrong yet. And the second was Paul Brown.
2 good men there.
Yeah. A few weeks later, I was speaking to Jonesy, and Jonesy also sent on Paul Brown's number. Long story short, I text Paul Brown. He had Callum working for him back then, but he was like, look, I know another fella, and he put me in contact with him, Rob Cassidy, Irish Stone Masonry, and I started working for him for 5 months, and brilliant. And then
more or less straight away.
More or less, yeah. I landed on the Wednesday, and I had the job the following Monday.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah. Well, you have to get lucky as well. Like, a lot of people it is tough over here. Like, a lot of people come and, like, you're waiting weeks, months. It's a slow process to get hired.
I suppose the job you have now, if you were waiting for that one, that might have taken a few months.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you were willing to go had you done much work like that back in Ireland?
Yeah, I had, to be fair. I, like, all my uncles, they're all farmers, so kind of grew up doing a bit of farming, kind of general labour. No stranger to that kind of work, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
But and then obviously Jason rang me one summer's evening to let me know there was a job going in his company, and it just like worked out perfectly really.
Yeah.
Finished up with the stonemason and then joined the company. I've been there since.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
So in fairness, there's people that come 3 months, 4 months, and that's normal. Like, to not have work. So it's so you got the summer basically working in the stonemasonry.
Yeah. Which was lovely because obviously like the heat here in the summer is crazy. But I suppose I started in April. To be fair, it was cold.
Yeah.
It was cold in, but no, it was grand. Like, worked out really handy, and also like it gets quieter for them kind of jobs towards the winter time anyway. So
Yeah, you probably timed it quite well. Like, it's more fortuitous than anything, but that's great. In terms of the work you're doing now, you're in an office job downtown. Quite different to working on a farm or general labour. What's it like being Irish in that setting? Are there a lot of Irish people there, and how are you treated in general?
I treated very well. Yeah, I really enjoy it. There's I suppose it's a Canadian company, kind of coast to coast. But on my team in particular, there's 6 of us. 4 of them are Irish, 1 English, and 1 Canadian. And the boss is Irish, so she's kind of built up an Irish
nice Irish team.
Yeah. So no, it's great. Really enjoy it.
You're dealing with, I presume you're on the phone and dealing with clients a lot, and sometimes, when I talk to someone new for the first time, I forget that when they hear me, they hear an accent as well. And Toronto, that's not such an unusual thing, but people still are curious. Generally, I find it's quite a positive experience 99% of the time.
Yeah, definitely, because like everyone kind of claims that their great grandfather was from Ireland or from Donegal or somewhere. So no, it's definitely not a hindrance, and definitely works some bit. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. You're a good man to go out to cottages and things like that. I see posts in the winter or in the summer, doesn't matter. How are you finding the social side of living in not just Toronto, but kind of the Canadian experience, I suppose?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't realise that was a thing over here until I came. Didn't realise at all about like going away to cottages for weekends and stuff like that. But brilliant, like just go away on a Friday evening, come back on a Sunday. Like, you're paying for nothing really. You're only bringing the food and drinks with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, just having like good crack.
We should be doing that in Ireland, like, shouldn't we? Just I know a lot of us live in the countryside, but
like Barren Islands, Achill Island, even Dingle, like,
you'd hop into the car here on a Friday, a rental car, like, usually drive 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours easily, and think nothing of it. Like, in Ireland, if you ask someone to drive from Mitchelstown to the Barren Islands, probably wouldn't take much longer.
Yeah,
but it'd be hard to get 10 of you or 15 of you to do that, and
yes, man, I actually never thought like that.
I 100%.
You have to go abroad in Ireland to like have a good weekend early, or you have to be planned.
Yeah.
You have to go to Galway or Killarney or Dublin for a night out.
Maybe, I don't know. It's something I just think we're missing at home. Like, that there's great opportunities that good, and people do it in fairness. Like, but it's almost like you go to the town and just go drinking in the pubs. Or there's something about like going into the countryside in those cottages and just, as you said, you're paying for nothing because you bring your own food and you just sit there and relax and chat and
hot tubs and pools, and they're always on lakes as well. So you're out canoeing and the majority of the time, there's always canoes and kayaks there to go out and hiking trails and it's class.
Yeah, fair enough. You're here a year next week. What do you think you'll get permanent residency or anything like that? Like, what have you thought about?
So when I came, I kind of said to myself, come, just see how you get on. But kind of had like, just do 1 year. Just, not in the back of my head, but like just kind of as a guideline, I'd do 1 year and go home. But definitely I'll be staying for definitely my second year anyway. And then that's probably a question for next November, December time. But I don't know, like I'm enjoying it. So
did it go fast the first year as well?
Yeah, and no. Like, some days you'd be like, that's gone by in the blink of an eye, and then some days you're like, it feels like I've been here a year. So it's funny, but I know Tyke said something to me one day. He's like, I can't like exactly what he said, but he's like, it's hard to get into the bubble here, but once you're in it, it's very hard to leave. And
that's actually a perfect way of phrasing it.
Like, once you get a job, once you're living with good people, once you've like a group of people, and mainly GA, to be honest, like, sure, you're just having a good crack. So
yeah, it's a fair point. Like, I love Ireland, like, and I love living at home, but there is you are in a bubble. Like, that's the kind of word over here. You're in a bubble, and we have our Canadian friends and stuff, but the way you explain it is perfect. Like that, it might be difficult. It might get so comfortable here that it's actually it'd be hard to go home. You almost feel like you're starting from scratch again. Like you're not. You obviously have friends at home and stuff, but
yeah.
Do you think is Cork the place for you when you go home, or do you ever think about that?
I'd say definitely. Like definitely, definitely I will. Like I'll definitely like live in Cork like when I'm 50. Do you know what I mean? That'll definitely be where I am. Well, in Ireland anyway.
Yeah.
In general, but it just it's like not really sure. Everything gets like pushed out. It keeps getting pushed out a year and like stuff like that.
And like in fairness, like this is you're not thinking about stuff in huge long term chunks.
No, not at all.
That's why I wanted to get someone like you on the podcast who's young and probably isn't like okay, you think about PR a little bit, but like you're not thinking, oh, where do we build a house or where do I buy a house or what do we just living life and enjoying it since
no that's it, like exactly, as long as you're enjoying it, like it's grand. And the thing is as well, like it's getting so hard to get PR here, I know. I think I'm just going to enjoy this year because more than likely if it was right now I'd have to get PR, I'd be going home. Like I wouldn't have enough points to get PR, which is fair enough. So it'd be lovely to get PR and have it as an option.
Yeah.
And at least then you could come and go for, I think, is it 5 years PR?
I don't remember the exact length of time. I think you used to be living here either 2 or 3 years out of the 5 years, every 5 years to keep us going.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. But
it gives you a couple of years anyway, definitely.
Yeah. So, like enjoying it at the moment and we'll see this time next year what happens.
I'll get you back on next year now. Is there anything you found challenging living here? Because it looks like, from the outside, from me looking in, I could say, geez, he's having a great life. Like he's, you got a job straight away, he's loads of friends, he's playing music all the time. Sure, his life is great. Is there anything you found difficult living here?
Sure, loads. Like,
go on.
But the thing is, like, that's so funny, like that. But that's what everyone thinks. Like everyone like looks. Sure, if you're looking at Instagram stories, you think everyone has a great life. Sure, everyone has the same problems when they move abroad. Absolutely everyone. Like making friends, money. Like you don't have any. I used to always think, John, in college, you're always going home at the weekend. Like if you're living down in Limerick or whatever, but like you're always going home at the weekend. Whereas over here, like you're on your own basically, unless you have a partner or whatever, or girlfriend, wife, whatever. But there's just genuine things. It's expensive here. Absolutely, didn't think it was as expensive as it is.
For things like rent and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, and I remember like a few people said to me like, "Oh, it's going to be expensive." But do you ever find that like when you say some like people nearly always like give you the bad things, like they're like, "Oh, it's expensive," but like it never actually is that bad.
Yeah.
But I found when I came here, like it was as bad as people were saying. Like it's very expensive, but I know then again wages are better. I suppose like just there's more things to do. Like as in if you're living downtown, like you have everything there that you need. Like there's no two ways about it. Yeah,
it's a fair point. Have you gone back to Ireland since you've moved there?
I went back for 2 weeks of Christmas. Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Yeah, great. Yeah, it was great to see everyone again. And then, but I was also it was so different from when I came over because when I came over, didn't know anyone, had short-term accommodation, didn't have a job. But then I was coming back, I had friends, had accommodation, had a job. Like it's a totally different scenario.
Yeah, when people go home the first time, if they're enjoying themselves in Toronto, I find when they go home the first time to Ireland, they're looking forward to going home, but they tend to. I'm not saying this is the story for you, but by the end of that trip at home, they're really looking forward to coming back to Toronto. Was it like that for you at Christmas time?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and it's in no way bad. It's just because your life is in Toronto now.
Yeah.
So naturally, you kind of there's only so much you can do at home, especially Christmas. Once Christmas kind of comes and goes.
Yeah, So I left like January 3rd. But yeah, like sure, like even when you go home, you're living out of. I think you actually said that to me. Maybe like you're living out of your suitcase. And
it's frustrating. I am anyway. My mother has decided my bedroom is a wardrobe, so I live out of a suitcase when I go home. But even if I had a wardrobe, it's more just it does feel like home, but it doesn't feel like where I live though. because it's not.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at awards and medals from when I was 15 years of age on the wall, and you're like, yeah, geez, like this is a child's room, like it is, like, but you're not from the most urban area at home. You just said like downtown, living downtown here, which is where you do live. Kind of everything is there for you. Like what are the things living in an urban life that you've really enjoyed that maybe wouldn't exist back home for you?
I suppose just the sheer grandness of everything to start is like it's crazy. Like I work on the 22nd floor. I don't even think there's 20. And by the way, that is like flanked by much taller or skyscrapers.
Yeah.
And I don't know what height.
I think the tallest building in Ireland is in Cork City.
Is it?
And I'm fairly sure my condo building is taller than it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I know, just in general, you just have everything a bit easier. Not necessarily to say it's easier, but
convenient.
Cinema, yeah, convenient. Like cinema, if I was to go to the cinema at home, I'd have to go to Cork City, which is 40 minutes away.
Jeez, that's far. Watch a movie,
Yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah, so I know, but just things in general you have, but then you'd also miss the countryside.
Yeah. And do you miss that? Because you worked on farms and things like that. Do you miss the countryside?
Yeah, I do. At times, I don't know, you can't be looking at a green field with a few cows inside or something.
Lads that crash cars looking into green fields.
Yeah.
Heads are leaning out the window too much.
Yeah.
I've never farmed, but I do still. There's obviously something psychological that happens. It's like looking at the ocean or something, even though nothing is happening. It does put you at ease. No, there's times I get that walk around here just looking at the buildings, being like, isn't it fucking amazing? Like that's there, and we live here and things like that. In terms of and again, you might be able to answer this, but because a lot of people seem to be going to Vancouver, you kind of seem that you didn't really make an intentional decision on that. Have you a lot of friends living in Vancouver, or have you a lot of, just from a Canadian perspective, we'll say?
No. Well, I know 3 or 4 people from Mitchelstown living in Vancouver. But no, but at the time I didn't know anyone in either place. So yeah, it was just, it's funny, it's something you should put a lot of thought into, but at the end of the day I didn't, and just went with it.
You're probably better off, because I think if I were to move, if I had to move somewhere tomorrow, I'd nearly go through I'd have to go through a Microsoft Excel comparative analysis of all the places and go down to little details, whereas when I moved to St. John's first, I did a scholarship and they asked me where would you be interested in going, and there were 7 different options, and I literally said I don't care. Do you know, because I didn't care, and I wish I still had that. And maybe it's different because I actually like living here now, so I feel like I'm whereas I don't know, I'd find it hard to leave here and think that I might come back in the future. Do you know, whereas Ireland, even if you never go back, because it does feel like home, you think, okay, well, it is there for me.
Yeah.
Whereas this might be a bit different, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But
but that's the thing. You can nearly put too much thought into things sometimes, as in, if you have the itch to go and do something, you should just go and do it.
Yeah.
Don't think about it too much, because, well, that's me. That's
the title of the podcast now. That is, if you've an itch, just fucking go. Scratch it, do it.
But that's, I don't know. I don't think about things too much. Just go and do it, because, as I said, if you think about things too much, there's always going to be some downfalls or drawbacks, and you can nearly weigh yourself down, and you mightn't do something that you should have done. Yeah. And if you get the itch, just go for it.
Really hope you enjoyed that chat with Jack Fogarty. If you get a chance to go see him perform at any of the Irish bars or festivals this summer, be sure to go. It is a wonderful experience. Thanks again, Jack, for sharing your story on Irish in Toronto. Once again, all feedback is welcome. You can email me. My email address is in the description of the podcast, or you can find me on social media. It's always lovely getting messages from strangers and talking about the podcast and their stories of what brought them to Toronto. I would still encourage people to download the episodes and to share them with friends and family. Downloads are the easiest indicator for me to gauge how many people I'm reaching with these conversations, so I would really appreciate it. Thanks to Natalie Barbuzzi, who provided the logo for the podcast, and thanks to Shannon Heaton, who provided the music you are now listening to. You'll find all of her music on Spotify. There'll be another episode of Irish in Toronto in 2 weeks, and until then, slán go fóill.